It's pretty good.
There we go. Hi everyone, thank you for joining. This is my fortnightly Pick Your Brain session where I'll be chatting to entrepreneurs and creatives who will give you some key tips and share a bit about their journey. I'm pretty excited about my interview today. I have the awesome Oliver Rieu, who's founder of Acacia Tech and Rieu. So welcome, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Lan. Cheers for having us in.
You're welcome. Now, so basically I'm going to be asking you some questions about your journey, and it'd be great for you to share that with the viewers, and obviously provide any key tips as well. That'd be great. So first of all, so what kind of ignited the spark in you to start a business, and how did the idea come about?
So the journey started with Rieu, and that came about from, first of all, a point. I grew up in country South Australia in
SA.
So
represent, yeah.
Moved down to school when I was sort of 14 or 15 to Adelaide. So in turn found myself travelling back and forth from the city quite often, and always had a couple spare seats in my car. So came up with an idea through the hype of the app boom, I suppose, in 2012 and 2013 to build an app for carpooling.
Sweet.
To get people to jump in the spare seats that I had going back and forth from my hometown. And that was just an idea, and it was going to be like one of those things that was just going to be an idea and sort of never come about. But then I just kept on putting one foot in front of the other. And that combined with a point where I had enough of my day job and sort of didn't really find a lot of stimulation in working where I was. So
I think a lot of people can resonate with that, yeah.
So I dove in and had a crack and did the Rieu thing, which was a pretty good journey.
Brilliant. And so describe a typical day for you. What does that look like?
Okay. So living in Melbourne now, normally wake up at 5 or 10 past 5. I'm in Brunswick, in just the north of the city, so I'll wake up and maybe have a bit of fruit or food, jump on the tram. I've started meditating as of 3 months ago, so I'll do like a 10-minute meditation thing with the Headspace app. It's like a guided meditation.
Yeah, cool.
Really good way to wake up. Sort of have to be a little bit awake before you can actually do that, otherwise you'd fall.
Can you show us a little bit of what that's like? Or?
You just sit there. No, essentially you just put the headphones in, sit on the tram, and just take a moment to have some deep breaths and get ready for the day.
Beautiful.
And then also I do like another app that I've got is Duolingo, so I'll do like a 1 minute learning French.
Oh, cool.
And then into the office, and I'll be in here at sort of about 10 to 7, quarter to 7. About mid-arvo, I might duck across the road and go to the gym just to break up the day.
Bit of balance there, which is nice.
Bit of balance, get the blood moving, get out of the office, and do that. And then I'll be here until sort of 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then probably go to the gym after work as well. And then go home, have some food, and do it again, pretty much.
Great. So obviously, as an entrepreneur, it's very challenging. So how do you keep motivated for anyone that's out there that's kind of losing a bit of momentum? How do you stay motivated?
I always strive for progression. So my biggest thing is like always bettering yesterday or bettering the thing that I was doing before. So I suppose that stems from the day job that I had before I jumped into running my own business and doing the tech startup sort of stuff.
What day job was that?
So I came out of school and did an electrician's apprenticeship. So I'm a qualified electrician, but I never really liked it. It was good money at the time, but it wasn't fulfilling at all.
Yeah.
Okay. And now sort of the tech space is super exciting. So
awesome.
You can jump on a path of progression quite easily and and I think the thought of, doing anything else or going back to the day job probably keeps me pretty excited.
Yeah. And so how do you fund what you're doing? Are you bootstrapping? Have you got investors? What does that look like? Or are you crowdfunding? What are you doing at the moment? We
got some early stage investment with Rieu.
Okay.
So Rieu we went hammer and tong with all throughout from the start of 2000 or the end of 2014 through 2015, we raised some money at the start of last year, just a small amount, and built a small team. Trialed a heap of different assumptions we had about how it would work in the market. And then it got to a point where we didn't have enough resources to keep the team on board. It's still running and people are still using it. It's probably the second most used carpooling site in Australia.
Great.
But now I've got into business with two other guys doing Acacia Tech, which is like cash flow positive, and which is pretty exciting. It's sort of like the first time I've had a good bit of steady cash coming in for the last couple of years, which is nice.
That's sensational. High five for that one.
Cheers.
Now, so obviously doing a business, being an entrepreneur, doing a startup, it's risky. So I guess, how do you manage those challenges, or what's your greatest fear as an entrepreneur, and how do you manage those fears?
I think I'm actually more fearful of not doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, and as far as the risk, I think it's more of a risk to, sit behind the safety barrier and feel like, I'm not going to do it now because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, there's no perfect time to do it. If you want to do it, you go and do it because that's what's going to be more fulfilling for you at that point in time. At this point into my life, it's like, this is the most fulfilling thing that I can be doing.
Sensational.
So that's... Yeah, I don't feel like I'm at a point of risk. Like I've run out of money a heap of times, and got to a point where it's been like, I'm not going to be able to pay rent this week, and all these different things. But at the end of the day, it sort of works out, and you can find a way to make it sort of work in your favour if you can be creative enough, I suppose. And that's the fun of it. Like I like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so, what have been some of your biggest learnings in terms of from failures and successes? What have you learned so far? Some key things?
Like personal or business wise?
You can do a combination of both. Whatever comes to mind first.
Balance is probably a personal thing.
Okay.
So when we were doing Rieu, it was like crazy. I changed my sleep pattern, so I was doing.
You were sleeping.
I was, yeah.
Is that a luxury?
It was a bit, but So went a bit mad, and I changed my sleeping pattern to. So I only had to sleep like 4 hours or 3 hours a day, and that came at a price because it got to the end of last year, and it was sort of like all my creative juices had gone, and I actually had a really good meeting with one of my mentors at the end of last year, and he said, look, if you're going to be in business, it's like the hardest game possible, and it's the longest game. You've got to be able to find a point where you're really productive, and you can maintain and sustain it for as long as possible. And I took that on board, and sort of now I'm finding a point where it's like really sustainable to be able to input a lot of effort and output a lot of work, rather than inputting a lot of effort and not really getting a lot back.
Yeah.
So that's one key point. As far as the business stuff is, especially with the startups, we went to market trying to be everyone to everything.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, anyone starting a business in anything, just find one customer and serve that one customer.
So really niche it.
Well, yes, but that's a bit of a buzzy, termy word at the moment. Like just using it, just find your niche, and then you can just solve all their problems. And that's it. But just make it simpler than that. Like find one customer, solve their problems, and then look at why you solve their problems, and then do it again for the same type of person. I think that's pretty sound advice. So pretty good learning, and something we learned the hard way as well with Rieu. So
yeah. And so who's kind of been one of your biggest inspirations in terms of business, whether it's personally or someone famous or someone you've met? Who comes to mind?
Someone I've met who's been like really, really sort of a solid helper, as well as like in person as well. I was on Shark Tank last year, and out of that got to meet each of the sharks personally afterwards.
Nice.
And built a bit of a relationship with John McGrath,
yes,
who's a real estate guy based in Sydney. and went up and met with him. That was who I was talking about before with the mentor that we caught up with.
Yes. Yeah.
So what we did there in that meeting was, had lunch for an hour or so, and part of that, in his book he says to keep yourself accountable if you're starting your own business, write down your goals for the next 6 to 12 months or however long you're planning.
I'm just mentally noting all of this as you're saying.
It's actually a really good trick. And take down your notes or your goals for the next 6 to 12 months, and then give them to somebody who you respect significantly, really, really respect, and almost somebody that you're uncomfortable with failing in front of.
Yeah, okay.
And for me, that was John McGrath. So I wrote down my goals for the next 12 months, and then took them into the meeting which we were having, and gave them to him. And being sort of on your own as a business owner, you don't have anyone to report to or anything like that. But now knowing that he's got my goals for the next 12 months or 6 to 12 months.
How does that feel?
It's shit scary. It really is. Because I know that I'm going to catch up with him again in December, and we're going to get the list of tasks that we set out to do, and if we haven't done them, then he's going to be he's going to have very constructive criticism against that, and that's exactly what I'm after with it. I think that there's a lot of power in communicating your goals, whether it is in a one-on-one situation or if it's a broader situation as well. So did we stray off of that question? Or
No, that's good. That's good. Do you believe that there is some formula for becoming a successful entrepreneur? Or from what you've observed, or the people that you surround yourself with, or yourself as well? Is there a formula?
I think to do it properly, I think the best people that I've seen have the ability to be able to lead. So whether it's they've got to be leaders, or not even like that, because it's probably a little bit too plain, but they have to be in a position where people are willing to jump onto their ship and follow them.
Yes.
So they either need to be doing something that's really impressive and it's really attractive to the right type of person, that others can see that and connect with that and then want to jump on board.
So how did you do that, I guess, with Acacia Tech having, I think you mentioned you're teaming up with 2 other guys now. Mm-hmm. How did you go about getting them on board and showing them that you can lead and, you're doing something exciting?
Yep.
What were the steps?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking about before as well, is communicating the goals around the company.
Yep.
And then really just sort of placing those goals in the right place and communicating what you're doing to the right people as well. It's a judgment thing on both parts. So for me, it was a judgment to who to get on board and who to talk to start conversations around building a team. And then for other people, it's a judgment call for them. It's is this the right environment for me to be in? So, and you've got to create that, and you've got to try and match that. And I think another point is if it's not right, extinguish it as quick as possible, because then you can move on and do something else.
Is there kind of a probationary period? Kind of if you were an employee starting at a new company, how there's a 3 or 6 month probation to see if it's the right fit? Or do you kind of just have that conversation a couple of months into it, or you haven't had to do that yet, or?
Pretty quickly. I think it's everything. For me, it's the more I put out on the line and the more I say, sort of put my ass out on the line for what I'm committing to and what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then I'm more vulnerable.
Yes.
So then, if the people that I'm talking to about those points,
yes,
connect with that at my vulnerable point or whatever it is, then it's all right, yeah, you've sort of said something that I can connect with, and then it becomes a little bit uncomfortable. But if you can get over that uncomfortable stage really quickly, then you can get to you can really understand each other quite fast. Myself and Olivia, who's with me with Acacia, we knew each other vaguely, and I had a good understanding about how hard he works, and he did obviously myself as well. And I think we worked together for maybe 3 or 4 days, and then we're like, oh, yeah, this is going to work,
Awesome.
and there it was. But it wasn't like we sort of had prejudgments about each other as well. So it's not an overnight thing, but it is all about the person and environmental connection.
And then you've got to adjust to each other's skill sets.
Yeah, it's never going to be
tasks.
perfect at the start, but you find that first point pretty quickly, I think. Yeah.
I've been told that finding a business partner is very much like a marriage. You have to date first before you go all in. Is that right?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If anything, you probably spend more time with a business partner than you would your partner, I would think.
Definitely. And it's like, it's got to be fun as well. Like for me, it's everything that I do is, if I'm not having a good time and it's not fulfilling, then why the hell are you doing it? So,
Exactly. Just a couple more questions, Ollie. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
So obviously we've been talking a lot about work, but what do you get up to outside of work? What does that look like?
Oh, okay.
You have to think.
Hasn't been a lot of that. Well, I sail every Saturday, so I go down at Sandringham, just out of Melbourne here.
Even during winter?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I haven't been the last couple of weeks because I'm actually moving to the States next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
So, actually, I try and invest in a lot of travelling and doing, visiting different places and whatever.
How long are you in the States for?
Haven't booked a ticket back yet.
Aren't they the best trips? Yeah.
No, I'm going, I think a couple months, so probably 2 months in San Francisco and just sort of find a bit of a crowd there and see how we go. But yeah, so sailing, and I exercise a lot, and yeah, probably travel as well. Like I'll play golf as well, but not as regularly.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so 2 more questions. So what 3 pieces of advice could you give anyone, a student or anyone looking to pursue entrepreneurship?
3 pieces of advice?
Yeah.
Practical learning is the best type of learning. So,
as in on the job, hands-on, is that what you mean?
Yeah. So, because, especially in the tech space, because everything's moving so quickly, you need to be working with the most current techniques, tools, and strategies.
Yeah.
Rather than, so like I really think that you need to be practically. If you're learning, you need to be doing at the same time.
What's something new you're learning right now, just on that point?
Okay, so I've just been building like a new sales funnel and it's like measured marketing funnels and measured sales funnels and sort of, without diving too deeply into it, the analytics around the whole of Acacia. So from the first point that people become known about the business and the brand, all the way to when they buy a second and what that cycle looks like. So mapping it out, and through that I've been like learning different techniques and strategies and then applying the newest tools and techniques that I can find. So that's probably one case of it.
Yep.
Two other
key tips for everyone watching this.
Okay, 2 other tips. I'd say associate with other people that are doing the same type of thing. If you're interested in an industry or a particular topic, that the 3 closest, or the 3 people you spend the most time with, you're always going to be influenced by them the strongest.
Definitely.
So if you're in an environment where if you want to be doing a tech startup for say, then get yourself into a co-working space or a incubator or something similar. I think that's really critical. Same as if you were going to be an AFL football player, you go and surround yourself in a footy club and train with other footy players.
Yeah.
And third piece of advice, don't underestimate yourself and what you can actually do. I think don't count yourself out. Don't count your own skills for less than what they actually are, because you quickly find that a lot of other people that are doing things that are probably really impressive are not as skilled as you are. Yeah.
Excellent. Great words of advice. And very lastly, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview.
No worries.
All the best for San Fran. Definitely, I'll be following you on social media if you are still using social media.
Yeah, I'll be back on as of Saturday.
Yeah, great. And did you want to let the viewers know what your website is for Acacia Tech? And
yeah,
so give a quick shout out.
A little bit about Acacia Tech. It's a digital agency. We're helping lifestyle business entrepreneurs build a business rather than just websites. So you can see it at acacia.tech. You can email me at oliver@acacia.tech, and have a good day, I suppose.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Catch you in 2 weeks.